Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency meeting for Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. We have a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fire evacuation procedures. If there's an emergency, we need to exit the room. We can go through the door we just came in, down the stairs and away from the building. Or a quick way may be the doors in the back of the room. And again, down the stairs and away from the building. Roll call?
Donna Corbin-Slingsky.
Here.
Kevin Zorda.
Here.
Virginia Higley, here. Robert Chagnon. Jane Smith. Carrie Ann Howe.
Here.
And Robert Henderson.
Here.
Marie Pisner.
Here.
And Marcy Talicio.
Okay, so I'd like to seat our alternates that are here. Okay. Correspondence. We have the pending and land use applications that was in our packet. The other thing we got was through an email we received from the Office of the Town Attorney, the January 29th, 2020 Town Attorney Report. And we also got an email, a few of us, on some conservation grants that are available. So if anybody knows of a use for those, that would be nice. There's a couple of them for about $1,000 from the wetlands. Agents correspondence? Anybody have anything or comments or, no? Okay. Approval of minutes for January 21st, 2020,
I move to approve the minutes of January
21st.
21st, 2020.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Donna.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Virginia, yes. Carrie Ann.
Yes.
Robert.
Yes.
Marie.
Yes.
6 in favor, motion passes. Next is public participation. There's nobody here,
Hello.
so we will continue past. There's no bond releases. Next on the agenda would be our old business for our legal notice, which is none. The review of the bylaws are awaiting review. And then we have the next, which is a review of the model regulations and amendments, which is on the table. So if somebody could make a motion.
I move that we take the review of model regulation amendment off the table for this evening.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. So, and that brings us to talking about our regulations. I have a question. The handouts you gave us today, could we do those at the end?
Yeah,
Would it be less confusing? Okay, good.
it could be at the end, or obviously, we're probably gonna go section by section, so.
Yeah,
Whatever you guys
you
prefer.
could call them out maybe or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
I have
Just
something.
trying to fit them back in here was a little.
Yeah, I tried to. Like a ton. I tried to integrate mine in as much
So
as I
it wasn't
could.
working. So I guess on page one, the cover page, Ginny pointed out that the date would have to be 2020, obviously, you know.
So I have two sets.
And I did also make note that you sent out a note that if we had any picture of we could put on for the, submit it for the front cover, which, that's
That's a
nice.
Scantic Rupert Park, though,
Yeah,
so that's nice.
yeah.
I think I have some pictures of the boat launch.
Oh, that'd be nice,
When
yeah.
the eagles were nesting.
Yeah, bring it in and we
I
can
have
all
to
look
find
at
them,
them.
that's,
And we'll take a vote to see which
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
you guys like. Town managers, it will be hopefully providing me some photos as well, so you guys can take a look at us if you'd like to change the cover.
Yeah, that's a nice idea, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to the second page. I guess we'll just go through the pages.
Yeah,
Of course, you're gonna adjust them. Anybody have any comments on the two?
No.
No, okay, good. Brings us to section 1, page 3 of 5. Anybody have any
Nope.
Nope.
changes for that?
so section 1, title authority,
Authority.
the only change was to 1.4,
1.4,
which included your adoption date.
Okay. Section 2, Page 435.
I have a question. This is the definitions, and it says best management practice, BMP. And if you go further in a page or two, we have management practices, and it appears to be the same.
It does appear to be the same. It was funny when I noted here that management practices was not found in our adopted regulations, but the definition was in the model regulations provided by DEEP. So we can move to either remove it, because obviously you guys didn't have it before, but I highlighted it in red because I noticed
Right.
that as well.
I don't say remove it, but maybe one of the two, whichever you think is more applicable, you could say
Do we have
C.
two of these?
You know, if you keep best management, say, and when you get to management, say C, best management practices, or the other way around. It's totally up to you.
Well, it's up
I
to
would say the other way
agency.
around.
Two of these. Neither
You
has
know, under
page one.
management
So I'm
practice,
losing my
put,
mind.
say, see best management practice.
that's
Because
what I
best
was-
management
Oh,
practice
okay.
seems to
All
be
right,
more,
so then we're here. This
more
is-
in-depth.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
just making sure, because I'm
That's
like
what I
losing
was-
my mind.
I gotcha.
Okay.
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 Under the definitions, I want to add an agent and a duly authorized agent.
Okay, so we have agent member, but we want an agent.
Or maybe put agent member, agency member / agent or something, because it's the same thing. And then duly authorized agent. Now, when we get later on in the packet, you'll see why I want to add that. I kept getting confused.
Okay, so duly.
Duly authorized agent.
Okay, a definition for that.
The duly, I will have to figure that out, but the duly authorized agent, as far as I know, is somebody that we have appointed.
Yes.
In your,
Yeah.
so,
Able to review section, I think, what, 12 for those actions, so.
right.
And then you wanted agency,
Agent, yeah.
Agent.
just agent.
Agent. Because throughout this thing, you refer to an agent, and a duly authorized agent, and the agency.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Page 5 of 35 is continuing of the,
Actually, in definitions, under the definition of Commissioner of Environmental Protection,
oh, yep.
it should be Commissioner of the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
Is the Commissioner of the State of Energy?
Energy and Environmental Protection.
Commissioner, I don't know where he is, but okay.
She.
We will run this by DEP because this did come from DEEP. These are their model regulations, so if this is how they are referring to the commissioner, we'll keep it as that way, but we will propose it with the change.
Okay.
Okay, so then page.
Next page.
Next page,
6.
page 5?
Oh, nope.
5 of 35? Okay. Anybody? 6 of 35?
I have two things. I noticed, and I know that this is a work in progress and you're going to stick them in, but I noticed that there was no definition for forestry and there was no definition for mulch. And I thought I saw in what you had sent us that they would be put in here. And I know it's, but I'm just bringing it up. I know. I'm just bringing it up.
Okay. Kevin did point out on page 5 of 35 is a designated agent.
So that could be your agent right there.
Well, the designated agent means, would that be the duly authorized agent?
Yes, that's your duly authorized
Or
agent.
duly authorized
Then
agent.
maybe you should put it designated agent / duly authorized agent.
Yeah, good idea.
Agent. Okay, that's good. And actually, we need to appoint her as our duly authorized agent, because we never officially have.
Well, I have to take the wetlands course that still hasn't been up by DEP, so we still have Rick.
Okay, we'll wait.
So we'll have to wait on that. But if we're still in the definition section, I want to point out that with the best management practice, staff has proposed new language, which would include a reference to a manual for best practices for agricultural guidelines for protecting Connecticut water resources. This is from DEEP, 1996. And then we also reference a best management practice for water quality while harvesting forest products. That was DEEP. And then our 2002 standard soil and erosion sediment control and 2004 stormwater
I mean,
And
is
that's
that-
on the new page on the front.
Yeah, okay, that's why I was getting confused. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 of 35.
Where do you find the management practices, or whatever the heck it was?
I think 6 of 35 has management practice.
No, but she was talking about,
Finding the actual documents?
Yes.
They're on Deep's website.
okay.
Under publications, that's where I found the information.
I'm looking at it from homeowners' perspective, and they wouldn't know. You might want to put somewhere at the very end that any terminology that you have a question with, either call staff or go on the state website.
And I have the documents downloaded, so we may like revise our website to include those documents as references under like our wetlands category. But that's something different, you know, but that's just so that we have those titles there. So if we do a quick Google search, we're going to be able to pull it up real quickly.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't know, you know, if staff or if DEP or town attorney, once they review it, will appreciate what we have here. So again,
Yeah.
it's contingent upon all that. So we did best management. As you stated, planning staff has proposed a definition for forestry that came from DEP's.
Yep.
We also have a definition for mulch, and as well as silviculture.
Oh, yeah, silviculture.
Yep.
That was
And are we
the new
changing
design.
management practice, taking out its definition and just putting in C, best management practice?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, 6 of 35.
Yep.
7 of 35, anybody?
Wait a minute. Gotta get there. Nope.
8 of 35? Well, I'm looking at the original packet.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9 of 35, begins section 3. I had a question on 3.5, prohibition of activities in areas not mapped.
Yes.
So the agency may temporarily prohibit any person from conducting a regulated activity unless that person first obtains a permit as provided for these regulations, while the agency considers the acts upon amending the land. How do they know it's not mapped?
Yeah, how do we?
How do you know that you need to do this if it's not mapped?
How do they know?
How would anybody know? Right.
Well, my problem with it is, if you read this literally, you're basically saying that every single application that comes in has to come before us for us to decide whether or not we should act on it.
No, further back, further on, it kind of breaks down who does what when.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't want to have that in there, we can remove it in its entirety.
I think it's going to be very confusing
Okay.
for the general public.
Well, even for me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
how do I know what to do if it's not mapped? How would I know I'd have to come forward if it doesn't show anywhere? You would think people would go to the wetland map, wherever, and say, oh, I'm good. It's not on the map. How would you
Why
know?
would it not be mapped?
Why would it not be mapped?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't get that. Like,
Yeah.
For
mapped
the
for
wetlands,
everything.
well,
Wetlands can
they
be
can
created,
change. They
right?
can be created and they can change. Vernal pools can come up, you know, where
Right,
it
right.
wasn't. So it may not be mapped because our wetlands map, I think it's from like the 60s, 70s. So
But who would know? Who would know that? So when you get the application, do you know?
well, if we do a site inspection, that's when we could probably, you know, make a determination. Or if the homeowner or applicant provides us a soil scientist report, that's where we would verify the information because usually they would probably take it upon themselves to determine if there was anything going on there because wetlands is based off of soils here.
Right, right.
So I see where you're going. I think there should be something in there that it's a little more clear that if there's anything not identified, any
Application.
wetland
Yeah.
structure or whatever that might be there, such as a vernal pool or something like that, that is under our purview, that there should be no activity until there's if it's not on the map.
Or maybe put in something, you know, that based on staff review, that there's the potential of wetlands, that it should come before us, you know, like a pop-up vernal pool, like you said.
Yeah, any area that has questionable
Right, well,
Soils.
wetlands or soils, yeah. Wetland features.
yeah.
Okay, got that one, thank you.
Anybody else on 9 of 35?
Nope.
10 of 35?
I just had two questions. On the B at the beginning of the page, top of the page, it says a residential home, A or B. So that should be looking like that.
Yes, that's from the model regulations.
And that little red thing you said you took out, it is at the discretion of the
Yes.
agency? You took that out,
We
right?
removed that one because we were trying to get clarity from DEP. We're still working with them on that.
I just wanted to make sure I crossed out the right
Yes.
section. Okay, thank you.
For F, at the very, very end of F, you have the word, semicolon, then and then you have G, which are also water. So does G go with F, or is G just G?
Because it's because it's the last of the small letters.
That's how the advisories were written, so that's how we wrote it.
Government loves to do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking what, so it goes with the maintenance, which I was. 11 of 35? Anybody? 12 of 35?
Oh, I just had one thing. You guys are gonna get tired of me saying I have one thing. On 7.2, where it says where you can find the application, that kind of stuff, somewhere in there, maybe you might want to put may be obtained online.
Okay.
It says, it's,
At the town website.
yeah, on the planning website or whatever, because they're changing it from the town clerk or stopping in the office, but they don't know that they can get it online.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had that under 7.1.
I have that under 7.1 as well.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah.
I just scribbled the notes.
It's okay, don't worry. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're following you.
Okay.
Under 7.5 B, says a copy of the deed shall be submitted. Should we put, and it's in other places, copy of the deeds or deeds?
Yes, with a
Or
little
Because we've had a
parentheses.
number of incidents where there've been multiple
Yes.
lots.
Yeah.
It does happen in a couple of places.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch.
And just a weird little thing, I don't think deed should be all cap.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, I was watching, I think it was Planning and Zoning, and they brought up the word shall.
Oh, I know.
So when I read it here, I
Yeah.
underlined it and said, we're good, we're
It's
good.
kind of like mandatory. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna do it, you know.
So I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. 13 to 35? Anybody?
I wrote myself some notes, so. Okay, on the, I liked the wording for H and I, and I wondered, can we ask for this, or is it in the state that they, that you got this from? In other words, it says shall integrate one or more low impact, and then it goes on to list it. I think that's great. But is that something that we can
Yes,
make them do?
Yeah, the state does encourage, low impact development, especially from an environmental standpoint. That was just language that staff proposed because it's a step forward. Hopefully, when we redo our zoning regulations, we can be a little bit more specific, on the types of low impact development and management practices. Where it derived from was from DEP. Low impact guide appendix for soil erosion and sediment control, and I also have another one for stormwater management. So there's a lot of stuff in here,
Yeah.
but we couldn't all integrate it in here.
Oh, no, but I thought
but I
that
wanted
was
to have
so
something.
great. I just wanted to make sure that a year from now, somebody doesn't come back and say, well, you can't make us do that.
No. Well, if you're doing one, if you're minimizing, your clearing or your
Yeah.
grading,
Yeah.
you're meeting low impact
Yes.
development,
Yes.
because you're not
Yes.
trying to strip everything. So that's what we're kind of looking for. If you can show that I don't need to strip the whole property to do what I need to do, then you're kind of meeting that.
Right.
So.
And
And
the
it'll be
other-
reviewed as well.
The other thing I noticed was under 3, where you're talking about delineating things like wetlands and trees larger than 12 feet. I thought that was great. What I'm wondering is, it doesn't tell what practices they have to use to save the trees. In other words, are they going to put anything around the tree? They're going to mark it on the plans. But I've seen in the past where people have bulldozed down trees, and when they bulldoze down the big ones, all they have to do is put back a little one. They never put like to like, and it's
Right.
too cost prohibitive. So maybe there's some way, and you would know if this is possible, but maybe there's some way to say in that section, where they have to put it on the plans if it's larger than 12 feet, they have to surround it with, I don't know,
Vegetation.
Maybe verbiage like potential for preservation.
yeah.
So so identify and label trees larger than 12 feet for potential
So
for preservation is what you're looking for?
Right.
Yeah, I'm just hopeful that
But
they
wouldn't we do
can,
that when they came, we would?
Yeah, that doesn't belong in this section. This is just
Oh,
what goes on the
okay.
plan.
okay.
And my question, where does 12 feet come from? That seems silly.
I think we got that from when we're looking at planning and zoning, when we're looking at our landscaping standards. So I think when we were doing another project, I think that was the standard that you guys did to protect certain elms that were on site, and I think that was the size that was agreed upon. I'm not sure if it was planning and zoning or wetlands, but if
Height
your
is-
expertise.
Yeah, height is arbitrary. I mean, a 12-foot tree that's a weed, essentially. It should be more
Diameter?
caliper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you like to change? Is there an appropriate size that you'd like to put
I would
for
say
diameter?
anything bigger than, say, a 2-inch caliper, because if it's smaller than that, it's really not a tree.
And
Just a whip.
Well,
It's what
2
we call a
inches
whip.
are kind of
It's kind of little.
That's
That
kind
big.
of small. We're
Yeah,
talking
they're
about
not
the
big.
Yeah,
bigger
yeah. I
ones.
mean,
They're a
that's what I'm
diameter.
saying. A 12-inch tree could be an inch caliper.
You're right. That's right.
True, true.
You know,
yeah.
so I think caliper is more appropriate. So, a decent sized tree, if you go to a 4-inch caliper tree, that's a decent sized tree. And I think marking on a plan, anything smaller than a 4-inch,
we don't care about.
we don't care about anything smaller than a 4-inch.
Kevin, I think it should go in here. Might be better in other parts, but this is the plan. And if they don't put on the plan that we approve what measures they'll take to preserve it,
We
then
can always
we-
make those
You
conditions.
would make those conditions.
Yeah, and I don't think, honestly, to ask them to delineate every tree that's a
That'd be
12
huge.
12 foot, that's just, that's,
do.
that's crazy. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
They could be 2 inches apart.
Yeah, it's up to you guys whether you want to keep the verbiage or if you want to increase the diameter. It's completely up to
I
you guys.
absolutely agree on increasing the diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't think we should let them decide which trees that are the bigger trees.
Well, so I'm
to
saying
keep.
4-inch caliper.
I feel like that's small, no?
I know.
I'm thinking more like
well, I know-
6.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
don't you
4-inch
want, like, a
tree, we
big
sell
tree?
4-inch trees. That's
6.
pretty good size. That would be something
Yeah.
Right.
appropriate. I mean, a 6-inch tree is,
You will have fewer of those to worry
Yeah.
about. So 6-inch, if everybody.
Because we don't want to make it a burden for
yeah,
the applicant.
that's what I'm saying. 12-inch, a 12-foot tree.
I would think you would want the bigger ones so that,
Yeah, big ones.
Yeah.
I just don't know the
Yeah.
size, what's
A
the viable
a 6-inch tree is a pretty mature tree, yeah.
one. Okay, so 6
Depending on
inches in
what the
caliper?
variety is. 6-inch caliper at breast height is
Yeah.
what
Is
it
that,
is.
is that what you guys like? 6-inch caliper at breast height?
Yeah, I would say caliper, breast height is, so you might have to put in if it's not in there,
Mm-hmm.
in definitions, you might also have to add what caliper is as
Okay.
it relates to a tree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I have one more thing on 3. Delineating flagged wetlands, add in and upland review areas.
Okay.
Okay, 14 of 35?
I had a couple of questions. Number one, I thought that was, I shouldn't say questions, I thought that was such a great idea.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I thought
You
that
mean
was.
L?
Yeah. Oh, Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I put number 1 on my notes. Sorry. I'm just saying if you're paying attention. No. And then M, let's see, wait a minute. Okay, prior to construction and within 365 days of approval, the applicant shall submit to the planning office final plans as approved by the agency. Where am I? Does staff, never mind. I can't read my own rights, so that's okay.
Well, I have one on S.
Go ahead.
It just doesn't make sense the way it's verbiated. It should be an electronic submission, take out in, and add in of all items listed above via USB drive, take out driver. An electronic submission of all items listed above via USB drive.
Yes, that one I got.
Not to just backpedal, but you did receive at your desk, which wasn't in the email earlier, we received an email from DEP because we are working with them, and they advised us of a timber harvest activity form. So we proposed some type of language, and again, it has to be reviewed by DEEP and, town attorney. If the applicant's proposing a timber harvest activity, the applicant shall complete the notification of timber harvest form as amendment and endorsed by the CT Farm Bureau Association, CT Forests and Parks Association, CT Professional Timber Producers, Society of American Forester, CT Chapter, and others. And that would be number J. So that was listed under our stormwater,
It's a
our
handout
low
she
impact
gave us.
development. So it'd have been the third item.
It's the handout she gave us, 1335.
The separate handout
There's a
wasn't
single
in the
sheet,
packet.
J, yep.
So J on 1335.
So if you guys like that language, we can keep it in there. If not, we can remove it. It's up
I
to you
think it's
guys.
fine.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I think it's good.
Yep.
Okay, 15 of 35?
I have one, under 7.8.
Yes.
Add at the end, incomplete applications will not be accepted by the planning office nor submitted to the commissioners.
Thank you.
Because too often, we get the applications, and then the day of the meeting,
We're getting all this stuff.
we're getting all these plans and additional reports and stuff, and on the application, it's checked off that all these items have been received by planning, and they should have been in our package, and it's not fair to us and fair to the applicant and the public.
Well, unfortunately, a verbiage like that, I'm not sure if that's something that we can include because we can't stop somebody from applying,
No,
whether it's
can't.
complete or incomplete.
Right.
Once you receive the information, you guys can make a determination at the meeting whether or not you think, it's a complete application or not. And if so, you can ask for more stuff and continue it, or table it or vote to deny without prejudice. But I don't think I could incorporate that. If you'd
Yeah,
like to have
deny
that
with
in there,
prejudice.
I
Deny
can
with
definitely
prejudice.
put it in there and have other people review it, but I don't think we can prevent
Yeah.
people from turning in incomplete
Okay,
applications.
so on
What-
this,
Well, my point is, the staff taking in and it proceeding to us and ending up on the agenda when,
It's not complete.
you don't have the maps. You don't have anything for us to review. All we have is a narrative, and we have no idea, like at our last meeting. All right, so where is this mudroom? Is this in the Upland Review, or where is the Upland Review,
Yeah.
And here we are scrambling at the last second.
You might want to consider when you're doing staff comments, because this has been done in the past, stating that you told the applicant that the application was not complete and that it could not be decided and they still wanted to put it in. There's a better way to phrase it, but the public and the applicant and the members need to know that staff let the applicant know that it wasn't complete.
Yeah, we could definitely let the applicant know, but again, if the applicant doesn't provide us anything, that's when you guys have to make that determination of whether or not it's
Okay.
complete,
Right.
whether you're going to table
But
it or deny it
helps-
without
It
prejudice.
helps us as a group.
Absolutely.
We don't want to
Absolutely.
come off as the meanie of the town of Enfield.
Well,
We
you're not
wanna-
being mean, you're
No,
being
just saying-
honest, you're just
you don't
saying
have
it's
enough to
incomplete.
Move
Yeah,
forward.
well, I
know?
really would appreciate. I
So
think
also
that's
on
a
this
great
one,
idea.
I'd like to, 7.8, we had talked about it many times that we do not need those large plans.
Right.
No.
That's,
So-
well, that's what they say.
Now,
there.
commercial industrial are
Otherwise
are
authorized.
24 by 36, so
Yeah.
could we change that to say,
No.
Well, it depends, because usually those plans, they're usually more detailed, they're usually done by,
but
you
we
know,
don't
an
need
engineering.
14 copies is what I'm saying.
Well, we have 14 copies because we have to give one to each of you guys, one for the file folder, and then to provide it to other departments that do require
But I
the
mean,
plan
but
sets.
we've said we don't want 24 by 36 plans sent to my house. Mm-hmm. So do they have to, why would they give us 14 plans to give to us that we're not going to take and use them?
How many sets do you guys
We
need?
need 14.
You need for who?
One for each of you guys.
So you don't need one for each of us.
Take-
We said
take
we
us
were
out
gonna
of the
share 'em.
equation.
Take us out of the equation,
For the commercial industrial?
yeah.
Well, it depends how you want to
Not-
see it. If you want it
not that
small,
huge.
they
We
can
said we
provide
wanted
it.
it smaller, and we wanted a couple at the meeting that we could look at.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
17?
we don't need those huge
No,
ones sent to
11's
our houses.
11,
Well, it depends on the commercial, industrial. It's really up to
that's
you
later.
guys, you know.
But that's what we had said.
They normally give us, because it's done by professional engineering
Yeah.
companies, they normally just give us the big plan sets because they're going to move forward, you know, to another one, so they're already made. So
Yeah.
it's up to you guys.
I think the fact that it says unless otherwise authorized,
Yeah.
and they can determine if they see a plan and, they're like, oh my God, we gotta give them, oh, you're okay. You can send them that.
Yeah, I mean,
So they
11,
can
11 by
advise them.
17
Yeah.
on probably 90% of is
It's
perfectly
perfectly
acceptable.
fine, yeah.
And I agree, on some of the larger commercial, you're going to need the full size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say, just leave it the way it's written
Right.
and let them determine.
So nothing's going to change there, so, or did you want any other language incorporated? I just want to make sure, because I know you guys were talking about,
Because the small sets.
Nope,
The
because you say
residential.
unless otherwise authorized, so that
residential are good,
leaves
yeah.
you,
The
you
tw-
know.
But the large ones are 24 by 36. Yeah. They're bigger than my table. Yeah.
We haven't
but did
gotten
you
any
want
one.
the
We haven't gotten any
incomplete
in a while,
application
it's good.
stuff
We haven't any.
in that section? Because when you guys were talking about 7.8,
I
you
don't
were
think we
asking
can.
about the incomplete application.
Yeah, I don't think we can
Yeah.
put that in there, like
can't
you
put
said.
So
in there.
don't make any changes
No,
regarding
but
that. I
you
just want to make
can
sure
in
we're
staff
clear.
comments in some form state that the applicant was made aware when they came in that the application was not complete and that these things were missing, if you can, but at least
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
say that
absolutely.
they've been made aware. So they know and they can't come in and say, well, staff didn't tell me.
No, absolutely. We and then
So
we
they won't be surprised when they come in and
Yeah, no, we give
say,
them the
sorry,
staff
we're going to
report."
table this until we get
Well-
ba 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 ba
Yeah,
ba
no,
ba ba.
definitely. They'll see the staff report. You guys will get it. And we're just trying to be business friendly if we are presenting anything forward. So that's
Thank you.
the reason for that.
But I mean,
action.
like I said, it's not fair to the applicant if they're bringing in their attorneys and their soil scientists and their labs, and they're paying them for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not going to do anything on it because we don't have everything, it's not fair to them. It's
Well,
not
then
fair
they're
to
paying
us.
the people wrong money.
right.
They've hired the wrong people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Caveat emptor, buyer beware.
They got a little checklist to follow. If they didn't follow it,
Yep.
oh well.
Is there something that can be handed out with the application? So when somebody brings it, like say a homeowner that's not familiar with,
Yeah, they help them.
but
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is maybe a piece of paper that's with the application that says, these are the following items that need to be completed prior. Do
Well,
they
that's
get
what
something?
the regulations kind of
Okay.
list here. That's what that section 7 is. It's all the application requirements. So yes, we help them at the counter and we can email and, help them fill it out and we'll say, do you have this? Do you have this?
Okay.
But that's more
Yeah, they
of
help
us, not in terms of the regulations.
Aren't there pages attached to the actual application or sections that say, is the deed attached? Is this? is
Yes,
this-
those questions are on the application forms,
So
but
they
that's
know.
something we have to work on revising as well. So that's another thing.
Yeah, once we get this done, then we
Yes.
can make that match
Then we can do
this,
other
and then
stuff.
it'll be so much easier.
Yes.
Okay, 16 to 35?
I had one thing on, what? I didn't do anything for the last page. Section 7.10.
Yep.
it says in the red, shall be valid for more than 10 years. It should be for no more than 10 years, because in section 11, it says 10 years is the max.
The language derived from the advisories from DEP, so
I
it
know,
was
but
just.
It's incorrect. Unless 11.6 is incorrect. 11.6.
Well, the statement reads that
Yeah, but
the permit was issued provided no permit shall be valid for more than 10 years. So it's saying that it can't be valid for more
it
than 10.
says for, yeah, right, for more than. It should
Right.
say for no more than. It says for more than 10 years. So you could have 11 years or 12 years, because it's more than 10. Because in 11.6, it says in the red, it expires or 10 years, whichever's earlier. So it is 10 years. but
Yeah, 10
that's
years is the max.
So it should
It's
say
5
no
for the
more
site
than.
plan and another 5 if they want to extend it.
Right, so it should say no more than.
Well, that's any permit that was issued. This is no permit, provided no permit was issued. Provided no permit shall be valid for more. 11.6 talks about a permit was issued.
Well, then why in the world would you say something's valid if it wasn't a permit?
I have no, that's why I
I know,
circled,
I
provided
know.
no permit.
I know, and it's one of those, I think that needs to be looked at. Okay? And that's
Yeah,
the
so
other-
7.10, because there's no permit? Right, okay.
Oh, I had one more thing. D of the red section, in lieu of such notice, the applicant may submit a letter from the holder of such restriction or from the holder's authorized agent. And call me a bit untrusting, but my question was, if the applicant submits the letter from the owner giving permission, does staff check with the owner to make sure that it's an actual allowed?
Well,
permission?
they provide us, with the owner authorization letter and,
Right. But if you approve it, I understand, but it's kind of a waste of time if the owner,
Well, with the application, they are it is notarized, and they are attesting that they are giving us honest answers. So the onus is on the applicant, and that section was a new section from the 2008 advisory DEP. So
Okay.
that language is
All
from
right.
them.
17 to 35? Okay, this is where I got, yeah, 8.8. Because you're talking about instruction for applications involving authorized agent approvals. And then you put building permits. So is it only for building permits? I didn't know what building permits was.
well, that shouldn't be there, because
I wanted to see where
authorized
she put it.
agent, I
Yeah.
know, but authorized agent approvals are actual applications. The wetlands agent signs off on a building permit after all the permits, if required, are taken care of. But this reads, and I had the same question, this reads that the agent approval is just for the building, just they walk in and sign off on the building permit. That's the way I took it.
Well, I didn't know why the word building permits is there, because it's more than just building permits.
Right. So what the thought behind this one section was perhaps we add the word duly authorized agent for the approvals for building permits, because you guys don't see all the sheds and everything that gets approved via the building permit process, because it doesn't come before
Right.
wetlands. So that's where that derived
But
from.
if it's under 800 square feet or
Yes.
whatever, we don't see it.
Right.
But the agent has to make a decision, an agent approval.
Right.
And if they just sign off on the building permit, there's no record of it.
It's in the building permit record, because there's a section for wetlands.
Right. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that on the wall, in your offices, there's applications, not building permits, applications. And people can walk in and look at them. And if somebody buys a house, because people check on all that stuff now, if somebody buys a house 5 years from now that just got signed off on the building permit, there's not going to be a record of it actually being allowed through the wetlands process.
Well, with our building permits, with the program that we are doing, usually we sign off on it and we note how it's applicable for wetlands, if there's going to be no impact or if there's minimal impact to wetlands.
So you don't do agent approvals anymore, actual applications?
We do, we had an agent approval with you guys the last time because it met the criteria with those certain
Right.
standards because it had minor grading
Right.
within the upland review areas.
So there's no actual application for agent approvals? Can't walk in and look at the folder?
Your application has an agent approval checkbox on it, but
Right.
if you're talking about building permits for a pool or a shed, no, we don't have a separate application for that because they're applying through the building permit and then we get notified and then we review it and the duly authorized agent, our zoning enforcement officer will review it to ensure that, there is not something that's detrimental or if it needs to come back to you guys, it gets sent back to you.
So, so this 8.8 is for building permits.
That's how we were trying to write it, because it's about for the duly authorized agent. Because if we're bringing something forward to you to get your approval as an agent approval, we do that, But for sheds, decks, and all that stuff, the duly
that's what this is
appointed.
referring to,
That's
sheds,
what how we interpret it
Okay.
to be referencing.
So maybe we should add in involving duly authorized agent approvals.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's what I was
thinking
getting
there. Because then B has it too. The start of B has a duly authorized agent.
Yeah,
Duly authorized,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, there's too many, I kept going back saying, what is? Yeah, so the duly authorized agent is you that we appoint, right? So then the Enfield Watercourse, then it says A, so the little A, the Enfield Inland Watercourse agent, we are the agents.
Right.
So, has been authorized to approve and extend. So that, the word agent shouldn't, is something different. Because, right?
Well, that's
So the duly authorized agent approval, building permits, the
Yeah.
Enfield Inland Wetlands Watercourse agent is us.
Maybe it should be agency or its duly authorized agent.
Well, no, because this is for building permits, so
Right.
we won't see it.
We won't see
You
it.
can't say Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse agent. You can say the Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse duly appointed agent, if you want to leave that section in, but.
Well, that's why I'm saying you change it to the Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency duly authorized agent.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, agency duly authorized. Yeah.
All right.
That's where I kept getting confused between agent, agency, duly authorized, like, what are we
I
talking
know,
about?
I know. Well, we could put Raquel.
B continues. If you read B, it kind of continues with that verbiage.
Yeah. But on that point, I was saying agent, which is,
But I think it's Rick this.
Yeah.
I don't think she does.
yeah, but he is all the.
Raquel, do you sign off on these, or does Rick
Rick.
sign off?
Rick, because he's a
what I
designated
thought.
agent.
Okay. Okay, are we on page 18 now?
Agent, please tell me what- So this is still referring to the the building permits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And C is also,
And C is also.
see, and it says duly authorized agent, so,
But then C3,
C3 should be changed to read the same. The Enfield Wetlands Watercourses Agency duly authorized agent.
yeah. Duly,
right?
yep. I had a question on 4. Somewhere later in the section, it talks about advertising in the paper for agent approval, and it says it's paid for by the applicant, and I know that's correct, but it doesn't say it here. It says, "Notice of decision shall be published in a newspaper having general circulation in the town of Enfield within 10 business days of date of the decision, and will be paid for by the applicant." I think it should say.
The state statute covers that. Where is it?
It does say that later in the regs. I'm just saying to be consistent and to be understandable, it should say, because somebody, you can cherry pick, and that's what we're trying to get away from with regulations. So I think it should say, and paid for by the applicant.
Okay, I'll look at the language in the state statute and incorporate how it is written there.
Okay, because if you're not going to have that, then you should take it out of the other section. I didn't write down what the section is, but it's in there.
8-8.10 should also have duly authorized agent.
And actually backing up, 8.9A1, add in, the applicant shall complete an application form and provide all information required by the regulations.
Okay.
Okay. And what was the change regarding the new section 8-10 or 8.10? Yes, please.
The duly authorized agent? At the end, determination of permit need may be authorized through or a duly authorized agent approval process?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Oh, 9-9.1, public hearings. Right, it's 18 to 35, yeah. The infill shall not hold a public hearing on the application unless an inland wetlands agency determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or water courses. So, and then I circled the a petition signed by at least, so it's, you could have it if, so if it's an impact on the wetlands, if a petition is signed, so that's another option, it's not.
So it should be a semicolon instead of a
Yeah,
comma.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So a semicolon after water courses is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't have to have a public hearing unless it has a significant impacts, or something, whatever, a petition, petition has been signed by at least 25 people.
And then after receipt of such application, semicolon, or the inlands agency, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Okay.
19 to 35, anybody?
I have one thing. Under, at the very end, 10.2D, it says, I love these long sentences.
I know.
Irreversible and irretrievable loss of wetland and watercourse resources, which would be caused by the proposed regulated activity, including the extent to which such activity would, I don't think it should say foreclose a future ability. I think it should say preclude a future ability, because you use preclude in the same sentence, same sense in 10.7.
So you want me to change foreclose to preclude?
I think so.
Okay.
I always think of a house, you know, when the bank comes in for foreclose.
Well, and one question under 10.1, where we're listing all the different agencies, reports from other agencies and commissions, including but not limited to the town of Enfield, blah, 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 blah. Should we also add in DEEP? Because in certain instances,
Sure.
DEEP will submit and the ACOE. So DEEP and the Army Corps.
So that would be 6.
And you saw where we made the changes to include the other departments.
Yeah.
Just want to put it on the record.
So I think the verbiage on that should be reports from other agencies and commissions, including but not limited to DEEP, ACOE, or the town of Enfield Conservation, blah, 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 blah.
So deep first and Army Corps and then follow it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
20 of 35?
Only one thing.
Yeah, I think you found it. Go ahead.
You've got 10.8A, and then you got 10.8.
Yeah.
Should be 10.8B.
That was an English reading.
10.8A was a proposed number change from DEP advisory in 2008. And then in 10.8 was a new section in 2008 DEP with revisions 2010. So that's why it's formatted the way it is.
And there's an underscore between inland and wetlands that shouldn't be there.
Yes, I'll get that one.
21 to 35?
I had a question on 10.9, the, whether it's consistent or not. It says, when it's talking about timeframes, it says not later than 15 days after receipt of actual notice. And then it says if it's a state, it's not later than 30 days after receipt of actual notice. Can we do 30 days, or do we have to stay at 15?
According to the 2008 advisory from DEEP with revisions 2010, that is the language that they have proposed.
Is there a reason why?
That's what they had in their documents, so.
Because the state's a lot slower than the towns.
Okay, well, I just was curious, thank you.
It's a true answer.
22 of 35?
Nothing.
Okay. Nope, I'm fine.
23 of 35?
Oh. This is 12.3. This is where it says publish at the applicant's expense. That's
Yes.
why I was mentioning it back there.
24 of 35? 25 of 35? 26 of 35?
Yep. Oh. Nope.
27 of 35?
Oh, I just had a question. I was confused, and I'm sure everybody else understands, but 15.8, where they're talking about the wetlands map, does it get filed, actually filed when it's, does it get redrawn and the the current map after our approval get filed in the town clerk's files and land records, and who does that?
Well, that is something that the planning office and the director of development services we're going to be working together on so that we can have more accurate maps. What we're looking to do in the future is requiring the Mylar as well as the CAD file format so that they can upload it to our GIS with our partnership with CDM Smith so our maps can be accurate. So that
Thank
is
you.
the process.
Yeah, I was concerned because we've made a couple of map changes, and
Yes.
it's like,
And they're not reflected on
Right.
the master. So,
So-
10 years from now, somebody comes in and says, well, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be wetlands. But
Yeah.
And the commissioners don't have any idea what we did 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And say, well,
absolutely.
no, it's right there.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to work on to update this 70s, 60s map.
thank you.
28 of 35, talks about section 19 fees.
I have a question.
Yes.
10.1 methods of payment. I know you're going to get tired
Oh,
of me.
so we jumped.
19.1.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, 19.1. Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Method of payment, and you accept checks and money orders, but you don't accept cash. I read somewhere that someone else tried not allow. I'm not saying a town. I'm just saying a business tried not accepting cash, and it was illegal. And-
It's funny that you brought up the cash thing. I didn't notice it, but that did come, the language did derive from the model regulations from
Well,
DEEP, so we can make a
sometimes-
change up to that.
Sometimes model regulations are not correct. So
Right.
I know that the town attorney's office will look this over, but you might want to call that to their
Yeah,
attention.
no, we could definitely add cash because
Yeah, sure.
that's all we
You
can
know,
do.
it's
We
like,
can't,
why wouldn't you take cash? I mean, most people write checks, and that's good, but some people want to pay cash. Okay?
Small phone in.
more trees.
Okay.
Okay. There's 29 and 35 is continuation.
Do we need to have a definition for complex application in the definition section?
It's up to you guys. That came from the
I
DEP
know.
model regs.
I mean, who decides a complex? You know, it's one of those, I like definitions because it takes it out of everybody's hands, and it's all written out. A
That's true, because then
complex
it's-
is from here to here, it's a complex application. If it's from there to there, it's not.
I would think complex would be one where you seek outside, like, you know, opinions from professional staff where, you know, you're using that.
There you go.
But
I think we should have, I think we should
I
have
think
a
it should be
definition.
defined.
Well, it kind of says it right in here.
Where?
Complex application fee.
Cover the
Right,
cost
but
of
what
reviewing
is-
and
Cost of
acting.
reviewing and analyzing and
Right,
having
but that's
other
what they
people.
do for every application.
We don't get outside people.
well, see,
But we can.
We
We
can.
can, and that's what the complex fee is. This is what it says right here.
so
Well-
regarding this one section, planning staff and development services, we're going to be working together. As of right now, those were included in the model regulations. As it's noted, there are no denominations. That's something that we have to work on because we cannot establish fees because that power is vested in the town council. So that's something that we're going to have to work with. So right now, everything that says like regulated activities, the complex application, all that stuff in red that we don't have a denomination.
Right.
We're pretty much going to moving it forward for right now because we
So
don't have the
This
authorization.
won't be in what you're going to give to the council. Okay.
Not to
Okay.
deep or town attorney because this is a whole nother undertaking
We're
that we
still
have to
waiting.
decide upon.
Okay,
on
I
fees and
I
everything.
just didn't feel comfy if there wasn't a adequate application.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but can't do it yet.
30 or 35? Anybody? 31 or 35?
Nope.
We're getting close.
Hallelujah.
32 or 35?
No.
So were we going to remove that proposed section on page 30 of 35 where we noted recommend removing this section because it's already covered? It's in red.
Oh, section 20.
Yeah, 21. Did you guys?
Section 5, or just the whole thing?
Well, no, it
The
says section
following
21.
activities shall be regulated by the Commissioner of Department of Energy and Environmental
So we should
Protection.
take the whole thing out? Okay. Yes, take it out.
Okay, just
So
making
there
sure.
is no section 21 in it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
How come I don't have any 30?
32 or 35, I would just put in Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-1Q, as amended from time to time.
Okay.
33?
Nope. 34?
34 of 35?
Nope.
And 35?
No.
35.
I think staff did a great job. It was a
Yes,
lot of
thank you.
work, and thank you very much. And I
Thank you
hope,
guys. You guys
know,
do a lot of the work too, you know?
Well, it was nice that we could ask questions and pick your brain and understand where this was going, and it's going to be good when it's finished.
Yes, and just so like, you know, everybody knows, the regulations are meant to be dynamic and fluid, because, you know, how we saw something 10 years ago, because that's kind of when the last time we did these regulation, is not how we're doing it right now, because technology evolves, and I know sometimes government can be slow, but we can try to keep pace with it and keep it fluid and add best practices so that we can protect our environment here.
All right, I will make a motion to forward the Inland Wetland and Watercourse Agency regulations as amended to the DEEP and the town attorney for the review prior to scheduling a public hearing.
Second.
Roll call?
Donna,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Virginia, yes. Carrie Ann,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Marie.
6 in favor, motion passes.
Boy, sign the minutes.
Yeah, so for our timeline, so the amendment has been proposed. So the amendment and the notice of the public hearing has to be submitted to DEEP at least 35 days before a public hearing. The public hearing on the amendment must be held within 65 days of the receipt. The public hearing must finish within 35 days. The Inland Wetlands Agency must take action on the amendment proposal within 65 days after the hearing ends. And then they have to submit it to the DEEP no later than 10 days after adoption.
Yes.
So that'll be
So we're
the-
gonna have a busy early summer.
Well, I'm hoping it'll be a little bit faster. I did do the timeline. I'm hoping, we can have our date of receipt with DEEP by February 18th, 2020. So that would give us a must-open public hearing date by April 21st, 2020, because that's 65 days from February 18th. So, and then, depending upon how you guys act, if we continue or, we use up all the time, it could be as early as May 1st or as late as July 31st, depending upon how it flows and, what comments we receive from DEEP and from town attorney. Since we did forward this recommendation, we want to make sure we incorporate it, so we have a time clock with this now.
Yeah. Good, thank you. We did well the last couple of meetings. Getting our bylaws and the regulations. Finally. I know, it's only taken us a few years.
Yeah.
New business is none. Enforcement reports, none. Any reports?
Reports? No, I don't think so, because I gave you guys the pending application list, which has everything. I do have some people that I'm still awaiting final plans from wetlands approval. I have 0 King Street. You guys granted an extension for the Elm Street development. And I'm awaiting final plans from the last DPN that you did for 39 Hazard Avenue. I know that they're going to be looking forward to move to PZC for flood and special permit approval. So that's all I'm waiting on from wetlands perspective.
Good.
So it looks good.
There's no new applications, so.
No, nothing new, but at least we're doing regs.
That's right.
Oh, also, I was talking with Deep today, and she sent an email that she wants to have like a community visit with like wetlands and aquifer protection and planning and zoning. So we said we are interested. So once we do get the details on that, we're gonna let you guys know. It's gonna be wetlands, Darcy, and Kim for aquifer protection. That will kind of go over some stuff.
Oh, good.
Darcy is wonderful to work
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
Love her.
That's who was emailing me today. So
Yeah.
she's a little sick, but hopefully she's gonna get a little bit better.
Yeah. Good. That'll be fun.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.